Got it. Hello, welcome. I was grabbing some tea here, you guys. I got some mint, white pine, and ashwagandha. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Or I don't even know if you can see my mug. Finn, show your cool moves, man. Let's go.
Okay. That's very cool move.
Okay, show your best move. You guys ready for this?
Oh yeah.
Then I got something else cool. Show you too. You ready? Pretty cool. Whole world's watching, buddy. Oh!
Nice.
Can you show the bum drop?
Hey, bum
Wait. Nothing like learning how to fall like a champion.
Exactly. That's how you learn to get back up again.
True story. I was just doing an integration call after one of Eva Payne's retreats yesterday, and that was a big theme that kept coming up. You guys ready to meet the newest member of our family? Say hi to Luna. Luna, say hi to all of our friends.
Hello, baby girl.
She's probably getting hot, so I'll let Finn bring her in. That's the thing with Husky.
and dogs.
Yeah, we're really happy with her. She she came from a family who couldn't decide which kind of puppy that they want. I guess the brother went out with the kids to go pick out a dog for the family, and they couldn't decide. They ended up getting two, and now they have to actually get rid of both because everybody went back to work and nobody's there really to take care of them. So I almost ended up with two Huskies yesterday, and I think I would have been okay with it. You know, they were brother and sister. They were never separated. So while Luna's doing really good here, Max, the boy, wasn't ready to leave there. The men are loyal. You know, the truth is they are. And I've been with cheating men before, so I'm not saying that loyalty means exactly the same for every person. But honestly, when it comes to dogs, who I think are like a type of people, I love them, maybe more than people sometimes. They are so loyal. He did not want to leave. 5 months years old, 5 months old, and he wouldn't. He just would not go. There was no forcing him. He made his commitment to that family. So I think whether they like it or not, they may have to keep him, or we may possibly go back. I don't know, but we'll stay in touch and keep you guys up to date on that. They're both adorable though. I love that boy dogs are like that. You know, Luna jumped in our car just willy-nilly. Sure, I'll go with you. Let's go have fun. I don't care what we do. You know, and then Max is like, I am not going anywhere. This is my home. That's my baby. I have a job here. It was so cute. And so we went with it, however it went. And the truth is we're so happy. So happy to share that with you. And, you know, also some what Finn's been working on outside since our last call. I'm going to show you guys some of what I've personally been working on when it comes to edible landscapes and medicinal landscapes. And every year I work on at least one garden, and most of the time they haven't been mine. For the most part, they've been, it's just been for other people, for me to practice, for me to ensure that people are, that I'm working with or that I love are getting what it is that they need. Sometimes I'm hired, sometimes I'm not. I just always make sure that I'm doing it because it's something I'm really passionate about, making these medicinal landscapes, using what's already around and making something more beautiful out of it. And what's even more important, making something that is edible and medicinal. So either high quality foods or high quality herbs and even psychedelics, which is kind of one of my goals here in life. You know, that's how I imagine myself retiring. Like, I'm never going to retire. I'm never going to stop what I'm doing. But that's where that's how I see my life, especially in my older ages, is just being one in all that I've created. For the most part, I haven't really harvested what I sow. For the most part, it's been other people. And I mean, I get pictures, I get to see, I get to visit, you know, I stay in touch. I'm pretty good at follow-up, but I don't often get to like go in and harvest unless it's one that I'm going back to year after year. So this year I get the benefit of 2 of the gardens I get to see all the way through. One of them being at Tristan's house, and the other one at a permaculture compound that I was on last year too, actually. And this is her 4th year, and she's really active in that garden. What she does, everything, she's very active there and has her own reasons for doing all this. It's one of the most beautiful landscapes that I've been on when it comes to edible landscaping. And I mean, there are many. This is becoming a more common thing. People are realizing that lawns aren't going to feed you. People are realizing that when they're spraying pesticides on dandelions, that, you know, the pesticides actually lead to cancer, and the dandelions are the thing that's going to cure it. You know, more and more people are getting this through and wanting to figure out what's already here in my land and how can I use that to benefit me. One thing that I learned in herbology was that which we need is already growing around us. So somebody with hormonal issues, it likely has clover growing in their lawn, which is going to be an asset to balancing those hormones. A man that has testosterone issues, or you know, needs some extra effort to just thrive in his masculinity, likely has pine trees around, which produces pine pollen, pine nuts, pine needles, which can be used in tea. So many benefits to just about anything out of a pine tree. And you know, for women it may be, like, as I mentioned, clover. Also, cedar is a very woman herb. Dandelions are great for anybody with gut issues, anybody with anger issues, anyone with liver issues. A lot of the time it can help with depression too, because as you heal the gut, guess what happens? You start building up serotonin instead of relying on those dopamine hits, which can drive us all a little mad, if you know what I mean. So let me just show you here what I did. When I got here, Tristan's dad said that he can't grow anything here. And I knew right away one of the reasons why was because of the pine trees that they saved. There was a big old forest all back there, and it got cut out for a school. So they wanted to save a couple trees. Totally give props to that. Let's do it. But it did make it very difficult for them to grow anything here. Plus, there's still a lot of wildlife, bunnies, possums, squirrels, chipmunks. You know, even though the fence is, there's a fence all the way around, which is what makes it great for a dog. There's a lot of other animals that can get in. You know, fences don't mean anything. So, you know, birds too, you know, there's tons of wildlife here, and we feed it. We throw all of our compost out into the lawn. You know, we are feeding the wildlife and bringing them here. We want that, and it's natural. It keeps everything green, like a golf course, you know, without any of the chemicals. And that's what a lot of people go for. But if you come really, really close to it, you'll see a lot of it's different kinds of weeds. We got clover in here, we got grass, you know, a lot of other stuff. I'll show you, like stuff like this, how it looks like something's been picked out. That's because last year a dandelion was picked out of there that would have helped that area grow. And people do that. People actually go out and buy those tools to pull out cancer curing medicine that leaves their lawn with patchy holes, so then money gets spent on grass seed and other things. I truly believe that grass is a representation of the domination culture, and that dandelions are a sign of the rebellion. Whenever I see them, I'm like kicking them. Finn, he goes out and sees dandelions and he's like, those are wishes. You know, I wish that everybody had that mindset. That's what I wish. And okay, let's get into it, because I can keep getting distracted here. There's so much. All right. So as you can see, I don't even weed the garden beds very much. There's obviously been animals in here. That was probably Luna. They look like dog paws. And you know, what's that? Like peanut shell. That is, I mean, it's fine compost. It can be like chop and drop, which is what a lot of the time I do. Chop and drop would just be like, you pick out the weed and you leave it there as fertilizer. It may possibly grow back, but if you're picking it on a sunny day, chances are it's not going to make it. So it's fine. And I don't ever weed anything until after I know stuff is coming up. The weeds are, I work with what's already there. So there was already bare soil, and I just chose those places in the yard to put something that I wanted. So these are all cucumbers, and in the same bed I put borage, nasturtiums in the back of this one actually. And then these are all radishes. And these flowers are already here pre-annual, and I was told to just rip them out. And I'm like, no. And I actually looked it up in my handy dandy notebook. And it was aster, I'm pretty sure. Sometimes you can't identify them until the flowers are, you know, actually starting to seed and stuff like this. When it's ready for pollen, I believe it's going to go more yellow, and then we'll know for sure it's aster, but I can pretty much tell from the leaves. I've been doing this for a little while. I'm not always accurate when I'm guessing. I don't necessarily like guessing, but sometimes I'm pretty good at it. So that's my guess for now, and we'll see how all that turns out. I like mixing a lot of stuff into one garden bed. I didn't know what these flowers were, but I did know that I saw them last year and that I wanted to keep them for this year. We also, yeah, as I said, I knew that radishes and nasturtium and cucumber all grew well together, so I put them all into the same little bed. One of the reasons why I decided to put the cucumber here is because the pipes for the basement are here, and they sometimes blow air. So I wanted stuff that were root vegetables that could grow into the ground that wouldn't be affected by any of the heat or water drainage or anything like that. Cucumbers are great ground cover too. So again, you know, sometimes they can grow pretty big, but they would rather sprawl out. So even if the ones that are right here kind of get damaged from that, they're going to sprawl out by the time that they're big enough that they're all going to survive. And we'll get some good cucumbers, we'll get radishes, and we'll get nasturtium, which I love because it's a great companion plant. They're beautiful flowers. The flowers are edible, and the leaves are the most delicious and nutritious green of many of them. I just love them. They're peppery, and I'll make them the same way as I do dino chips or kale chips. I'll put them in salads like anything else. Okay, let me show you here too. I'll give you the whole tour. It may take a while. This might be a long video. Huh? I just keep talking. We might have to do a part 2.
Go for it.
So these buckets were already here, but they were on the ground. What I did was just get S-hooks and I propped them up. They may not last forever, but I think it's fine for this year. And I just put extra stuff that we had. And I also made sure that there was drainage holes on the bottom. Sometimes things don't survive because they get drowned out. You always buy these buckets from places and then there's never any holes in them. Make sure you guys put holes in your buckets. They need drainage. They need proper drainage. So that's what we did. And I just S-hooked them in because I wanted them up because we've got stuff growing all along all of the fence lines, everything. So we really wanted to utilize as much space while still leaving a yard for the kids, but not just a yard and not just space. We didn't want to have to spend all of our time maintaining anything. We didn't want to have to be doing any weeding or even mowing the lawn very much. If you're planting clover instead of grass, guess what? It's never going to grow high enough that you have to mow that lawn. It is, and it's a great medicine. So something to keep in mind, you guys, especially if you're on a new property. That is what my friend did when she started hers, the one who's on her 4th year that I had mentioned before. Yeah, so we've got, this is a lemongrass that we just got from the store and it started to root. So we put it in there. I got 2 peppers. These were statues that Tristan's dad loved, but don't get used, don't really work so well for Christmas anymore. So that then they were just in the back, so you didn't know what to do with them. We pulled them up front, and what we're doing here is growing viney type plants, beans, peas. Like there's a nice bean that's really come up. There's also squash in here too, and a few other things that are showing up. Like these are going to be different kinds of squash and watermelon. And then peas and beans are going to grow all around the statues. There's another angel one here. This was a big area that was just pretty much bare dirt. I don't know what it was from, if there was something else over top of it or what, but what I did was just rake it up a little bit, add some black earth to it, which is black earth mixed with cow poop or whatever you want to call it, excrement. And I put in some flax, and the flax is all coming up really good, and you can walk on this, you can eat this. It is just amazing. And there's so much clover here, you guys. It's a nice little area here. As you can see, some of the beans and peas are climbing up already. They seem to like the shady areas more. I think the animals couldn't get to them as easily or something. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they can. I don't know why they left those ones, but it's okay because we overseed everything and we go back and we seed it again. And it always comes. And sometimes you only have to do once, like all of the flax here. We only had to do that once and it's going to spread like crazy. We also got some horseradish here. I went to the farm to go get it because I love making fire cider in the fall. It just keeps the whole family healthy and well. And I actually already started a batch when I got it because the farmer just gave me so much. He was surprised that anybody would even ask for it. He is Russian, so he just used it for his own family, not expecting to sell any of it. And because I inquired, just because I asked a question, I asked if he knew anybody that had it, and I talked to him about fire cider. He gave me a really good deal on it when it was ready, and he taught me a little bit about it and how to grow it. And the amount that he gave me was so much that I got it into like at 3 different gardens this year, as well as in like every corner of this lawn as well. So I think we've got like 4 to 6 of them in this lawn too, and I was able to make fire cider already. So it's just going to grow abundant, and it's a really good medicine. I also put squash here because again, it was a dead area. There was nothing there, but it's just dead dirt. But what starts growing? Food. And as you can tell, I overseeded. It's fine. Like, who cares? When they get bigger, we'll be able to tell which ones are thriving and which ones aren't, and we'll be able to cut it down a little bit just so that it's able to maintain. But pretty much all that area is going to be really fertile soil for next year for whatever they do. And yeah, and so that's that. All of these are lilies that came in from the neighbor's lawn. I just left them. As you can tell, there's like a little bit of compost just like around the yard, but the bunnies munch on it. There's some kale here too. There's another piece of horseradish and some flowers that are gonna come up. I got some stevia here, mustard greens in this bin. I did the same thing. They are starting to grow. What else we got? We got a blueberry plant, and this thing was dying. The bunnies made a burrow under it, and it literally wasn't even touching soil, but we replanted it over in this area. Blueberries like pine, so I planted it beside the pine, but in enough area that it gets both shade and sun, and it's already got some new growth. And yeah, Tristan put a lot of love into that one, bring it back, and it's thriving now. Well, I guess it's beyond surviving. soon will be thriving because it's got so much new growth on it. We just got to wait for those leaves and flowers and berries. I didn't do too much with the pine trees because the kids got their zip line on it, and if we would have put anything in there, it probably would have been trampled. Even the bricks had to come out. So we made it like a yard for the kids. They got a zip line, they got their Spider-Man net and swings and whatever they need for working out and becoming superheroes in their own right. We did have some sunflowers here, but do you know what's funny? They were eaten the day that they went out, and I'm pretty sure that these might actually turn into sunflowers. So I think them just like whatever they did somehow got their hands on more sunflowers and gave us sunflowers anyway. Something happened. So we'll see how that turns out. This was all transplanted this year too. These are bleeding hearts, and it's coming back. The reason why, like, okay, so it did die off, but it's coming back. Like even these flowers are new. What happened was we got it all and it was very root bound. So when I broke it up, I actually took some of the other pieces and put it in different areas of the lawn so there can be more of them. I'll show you where the kids hang out in like the forest, and and you'll see that I put one in there for them too that they're just gonna love it, 'cause there's a nice little meditation spot that Tristan put in. This garden was all the seeds that we harvested that never got labeled or organized properly. This is like the fuck it garden. That's what this is. It gets some sun. The soil is nice, but it can be turned acidic because it's between a bunch of pine trees. But there is also a birch tree that's growing there too, which means that the forest is changing a little bit. The forest, again, it's a little tiny piece, but this is what was saved from everything taken down for the school. You know, that was a big forest. And they did a good job over the few years preserving what was here with native species. So there's a lot of stuff growing in here. Flax, clover. We don't have any peppers. They didn't come up, but a lot of, like, you know what, to be honest, like that one might even be a pepper, but I don't know if it'll last there. But it was just nice. The animals loved it. Like that was their enjoyment. There's some flowers coming up back there too. So this is still going to be edible food, but it also saved us the time and effort of organizing all the seeds that were never organized. Even though I can tell a lot of the time, it's sometimes just not worth the time to go through it. And so this was a nice way to just,
It was because they were all mixed together. We had apple seeds in with all the pepper seeds and orange seeds and cherry seeds.
yeah, because we save everything for the whole year. And
Yeah.
sometimes when we're in a rush, it doesn't get brought to completion. And so it gets put in a fuck it bucket, and then that fuck it bucket gets put into the fuck it garden. And that fuck it garden is going to, we're gonna give a lot of fucks to it. Because we're giving it love now. And it was fertilizer, and it gave the animals food and nutrition. And we're going to get so much medicine out of there. It's still getting used and utilized, and we get to experiment and see what grows in this environment. Because the truth is, I didn't know what was going to grow there. So I didn't want to put all of the stuff that I was putting my heart and soul 100% into. I wanted to see what grows there this year and how much sun it gets, because it is surrounded by trees. And, you know, now we know. And we're going to continue to learn what grows in this like half acidic, half, you know, nurtured, loamy soil. Okay, so here's the kids' forest area. They've got, Tristan's grandfather made all of those wood Yeah, we got wooden butterflies and robins and 2 cats, 2 kids. There's meditation rocks, meditation logs. There's a bunch of fairy lights that are strung through these trees here. And Tristan just put a plastic bag on it upside down so that the battery doesn't get damaged. And then when the kids are out here at night, they can flick it on and it's still pretty nice. We took we do kind of like that chop and drop thing, as I mentioned. So this is all chop and drop that came in here. And some of that cedar might actually end up growing. Sometimes you never know. I kept some of my favorite clippings and I started to root them because I think because so many kids are in the school now that we might actually put it as a border around the fence and just help them rise up, and it'll make it more of a forest too, and also give some free privacy. I remember one year I did like 300 cedar hedges, and I still go by that land and just check it out sometimes to just see how they're doing, man. Like my heart is always with the land. I love the idea of homesteading and being in one place, but what I love even more than that is my alignment to my own mission of just creating Eden, which I think Eden is Earth as a whole. You know, I want to travel to every one of the ley lines. I want to host a retreat. I want to teach these kinds of theories that I've put into practice and know what works. And, you know, the same with coaching as with being one with the land. And right now, Eden for me means many places. And I'm pretty okay with that. I did get one of those bleeding hearts in here, and it's already like, as you can see, like it just wants to grow. We got it. These parts are all new growth. For some reason, it wants to be like this, but because I've fixed it so many times now, but it doesn't matter because this is all new growth. It's gonna grow and it's gonna thrive, and the kids are gonna love it. As soon as it starts to flower. What else we got? Oh my gosh, so this is funny. I'm pretty sure this is echinacea. Probably one of the squirrels took my seed and then replanted it because I put the echinacea right here. And it is starting to grow. The water barrel up here, I got climbing spinach. It'll be really beautiful. And in the center, I put some strawberries. They're just babies. At the end of the year, because the spinach is annual, at the end of the year, I'll take the strawberry out of here, out of this bucket, and I'll put it directly into the ground because it is pre-annual and it will come back next year. And then it's growing in a bucket safe from the animals all year till it gets really big and strong. Put it in the ground. So that's my plan. I took all these bricks were from the pine, and I just blocked off one area so that the dog and the kids wouldn't go into it, because there was some stuff that I like to grow, like tobacco, that likes to grow with grass and with weeds. To be honest, weeds help a lot of things grow. You don't need the same pesticides and fertilizers that a lot of commercial places and even homesteads or, you know, lawn people who like the old school type of landscaping, you know, they a lot of people just don't know how beneficial it is, but they actually prevent you know, a lot of the really bad bugs like those what am I thinking about, like Japanese beetles and all that kind of stuff. They'll go after some of the weeds and leave your plants alone. Same with a lot of the animals, the pests, you know, that come and like the cute little bunnies that are so pesty, eh? They'll go for the weeds. They love eating the clover. So just having clover in with the grass keeps them away from some of the food, because we're feeding them, we're working with them. And guess what? Bunnies got great fertilizer. They are the fertilizer. That's why we keep them around. So yeah, I got some echinacea in there. Right here, some flax again. I just labeled it so I could tell where in the yard, but it was pretty easy. I got a squash here outside of the garden because it'll fill in some of this area and help the soil grow naturally, or help the soil build naturally, because I didn't understand the point of planting other clover seeds because there's enough of it and there's other gardens that I can put that in. And I also didn't see the point of putting grass seed or spending that money. I've never spent money on grass seed. When I do weeding in gardens, most of the time it's taking out grass. And guess what, guys? You would never, ever, if you love grass and you're a grass lover, you would never have to buy grass if you let your grass go to seed and then mowed it. If you just waited until it went to seed and then mowed it on a rainy day or when you know it's going to rain, guess what? You would never have to buy grass seed again. It would be natural. But you can do this with clover. You can do this with anything, whatever's growing in your lawn. Just, you know, wait a little bit longer than what you're taught to do and by the people who want to earn money off of the seeds that you're buying and the fertilizers and chemicals that you're spraying stuff. Oh my God, I can hear all the squirrels and chipmunks coming. Okay, so yeah, some of this stuff has weeds in it and I scattered. We've got some cannabis here, some tobacco. The cannabis and the tobacco wanted to grow together. Tristan made a joke about the tomato and tobacco off of The Simpsons.
The tobacco.
Yeah.
Making fun of the GMO foods and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, they actually love growing together, and growing cannabis is very similar to growing tomatoes. You know, actually, when everything was illegal, I used to go around, because I still grew it, of course. And I would say, oh, here are my tomatoes, my black tomatoes, my Jamaican tomatoes. So got your red ones, your cherry ones, your black ones, and your Jamaicans. And cannabis, they give out the most beautiful flowers. And I love eating the leaves. They're great medicine in so many different ways. And I do normally have 4 plants or more in each area. I also put some basil in here because basil will help the cannabis as well. In this cannabis plant, I did have other stuff, but the animals got to it. Like, they do dig into these things. So we just keep putting in black earth whenever there's holes, make sure that no roots are brought up. And for this one, I put in a lemon balm to make the cannabis more lemony, and see how that goes. In this one, I have tomato, and this is a nasturtium. It'll grow up along the fence line there. And this is a chocolate mint, which I just love. I'm a bit of a chocolate addict. I love it. So that's going to be a way to keep my blood sugar under control when I want some chocolate, especially like in the evening around like 6 o'clock after dinner's done. That's a really nice treat. And as I said, we got stevia leaves too. Stevia from the store, not always good. Sometimes they turn it into like a glucose type of syrup. Sometimes they make it into a white powder, like powdered sugar. They just ruin what's good about it. So having the whole plant and growing the whole plant, it can be an asset. And it's definitely going to be for me. This is all tobacco growing in here. Tobacco is illegal to grow. Yes, that's right. It's legal to now grow cannabis, but you still cannot grow tobacco. That being said, I'm Native American. I went to the Native Friendship Center years ago now, and I just I prayed and I spent some time in their medicine garden, and then I was gifted seeds from some of the pods because they give out so many seeds. I don't know why anybody spends money on tobacco when they can grow it, because it is such an abundant plant. But they deprive us from this knowledge because we're not allowed to grow it. Native Americans are. I was gifted the seeds, so I grow it and I spread them everywhere because it's very abundant and very easy to harvest seeds. I really look forward to making that video for you guys at that time. I got some more tobacco in here, and this I just left. It's like it's forget-me-not. It's just like on my tattoo. It always reminds me of my dad. Got some kale in here and peppers. Kale don't always like the sun, but peppers do. So I wanted to try it out. I thought the peppers would get big. I left 2 of them in there because they grow really abundantly when they're touching leaves. I just wanted to see how that goes. I just did a little experiment. There's some onions and garlic in here too. And the kale will get shaded by the peppers when they start growing bigger and the kale will be happy, and they'll all work symbiotically. I got some specialty peppers here. I just put them in their own thing because I want to try them out. They're already growing because I got them from the store. So they were started in a greenhouse. Before the weather got to Oh, thank you, Tristan.
You're welcome.
I also got kale in this one, and this is a specialty climbing spinach. So I always love bringing into the gardens. I
Put
put more.
your camera down a little bit more.
There were so
There
many
we go.
peppers. There were so many peppers this year, you guys. I just could not. We harvested so many last year. It's insane. So we had an abundance, and I put them everywhere, like other townships. Okay, like I'm not just talking about everywhere in this yard. Like in townships, we had so many, and there's still more. These were all gifts. Oh, actually, these two were gifts. I haven't figured out what they are yet to be able to identify them. I'm waiting for them to flower. These are date palms, and they'll have to be brought in. So I'll transplant them into a bigger, more beautiful pot, but for in the fall. But for now, I'm just leaving them because they are going to really enjoy the sun and this weather, and they already are, and they can get really big. This is a really beautiful apartment plant, and they are edible. Those dates that you pay $10 for in a store here are, are free when you just take a pit. And then this is our last garden. This is another weedy one, and it's also very shady. I picked out all the grass. Tristan picked out a bunch of other, was it probably grass too that he was getting out too, because even in those areas, it looks like abundant of medicine now. And then all of the shade loving plants that we have went in there, like different varieties of kale. I like doing different varieties, not keeping it all the same, because again, it keeps the, if a disease or a pest or something like that gets one, it won't get them all because they're of different varieties. It'll go for something specific. Underneath the trampoline, there was a big space open because we had a playground that used to be here. So we just filled it up with different squashes and stuff. So it gets enough sun under there that it's just going to thrive. And again, free food. I think that's where all the watermelon is too. And then we got other beans and stuff here in these areas that were once covered. Tomatoes, all kinds of good stuff, you guys. This is our big tomato one. It's got the tomatoes and the nettles and the chards and climbing spinach and peas and beans. I'm gonna go, you guys. So I think we're up at time. I'm gonna sit down, enjoy my tea, get the dog and the kid back out here, and really enjoy the rest of this sunny day. All right, you guys. I wish you the best. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.
All right.